look outside yourself when you have all of the world inside? Why would you look outside yourself when you have all of the world inside? Why would you look outside yourself?
Hey there, I'm Allison LaFramboise, and I want to welcome you to Soul Secrets with Allison. In this first episode, I want to take you back to the beginning, to when I first discovered yoga and how it got me through a really dark time in my life, and how it changed my life, getting me on a path of spiritual exploration and awakening, and a path that I've stayed on for more than 20 years. So I discovered yoga during a really, really dark time in my life. I'll try to paint this picture for you of just how dark it was. So I was going to college in Boston University, and I found out that my boyfriend at the time, who was going to college in Maryland, was diagnosed with a really serious type of cancer. It was a really rare type of lymphoma that the doctors didn't know much about, and it was so unknown in terms of how things would go for him and what the future was going to hold, and whether he was going to live or die, and what this was all going to look like. It was so upsetting. And when I learned of his diagnosis, it turned my world upside down. And I was just devastated. And it made it even harder that we were 8 hours away from each other by car. So where I wanted to be there for him and support him and be together, we were so far away, and that made it so much harder. What made it even harder for me was that in his process, which I could never understand and I would never judge, but in his process, after kind of living into the diagnosis a little bit, he withdrew emotionally and just really shut down. And clearly it was what he needed to do. But for me, I was even more devastated because I wanted to be there for him. I wanted to support him, and he wasn't answering my phone calls, wasn't returning my email messages. We didn't have phones yet, so it wasn't texting, but and we had phones, but they weren't texting phones. You know what I mean? So I was just shut out, so upset, so scared, so worried, and devastated. It was really just like a knife to my heart when he stopped communicating with me for the most part. So I was a mess. Now, separate from this, before learning about this devastating diagnosis and having our worlds turned upside down by that, I had been in therapy and was in therapy working on healing from sexual abuse in my childhood. So I was just raw, just raw. I remember one time I went to my therapy session for my hour-long session, and it was over, and I left my therapist's office, walked out of her door, and just started sobbing. And at Boston University, it was a city campus, and her office was kind of in one of the neighborhoods near the campus, and I walked everywhere. So I had this long walk home, and I just walked right to one of my girlfriend's apartments that wasn't too far from my therapist. Just a mess. And she opened the door, and I just kind of collapsed into her arms, and she just held me and comforted me as best as she could. And that's just an idea of just how raw I was and how challenging of a time it was for me. At the same time, on the outside, to most people, I looked great. I was a straight A student. I had a work study job. I went out. I was social. I went to parties. I went to bars and clubs, and I went to the ice hockey games, which is the big sporting event at BU. And so most people, thought I was doing great. It was just my closest circle of friends that knew how much I was suffering inside. And compounding all of this, I started getting really obsessive and really focused on my body image. It was really kind of the perfect storm because I went to school my freshman year and gained 20 pounds. And once I realized I had gained 20 pounds, I was like, okay, I'm going to get into shape. I'm going to start exercising more. I'm going to eat better. I want to drop those 20 pounds back off. And because there were so many things that were out of my control in my life, big things, my boyfriend having this serious type of cancer, pushing me away, being so far away from him, as well as all this stuff that was opened up around the sexual abuse from my childhood, I felt like I was out of control. And then focusing on getting in shape and losing weight and getting really fit and looking good became something I could control. And that's what I did. So I was obsessive about exercising every single day. I was eating no fat everything, and I was weighing myself all the time. And on days when I was losing weight, I felt good about myself. If I wasn't losing weight, or if I looked in the mirror and I felt like I looked fat, then I didn't feel good about myself. It started to control me and define me, and I was trying to control it, trying to control my body weight, and having just these obsessive thoughts about needing to be in shape and needing to, exercise and needing to eat well. And so it gave me focus and something to really hone in on. But I was smart about it because I didn't want to have an eating disorder. I knew I was obsessive about it, and I would talk to my therapist about that. I knew I was obsessive about it, but I didn't want to have an eating disorder. So I made sure that when I was losing weight, that my weight stayed within the healthy range for my height. So I remember one time being at my doctor's office and sitting on the table waiting for the doctor to come in and wearing the silly little gown. And on the wall, they had a chart that said, if you're 5'6", which I am, this is the healthy weight range for you. And I was within the healthy weight range. I was at the bottom of it once I had lost weight, but I was within it. So, I was healthy. And it was later when I really realized how unhealthy I was around my body image and my weight because of the unhealthy, obsessive thinking and the emotions and my self-worth being so wrapped up in that. So it was a really dark time. And all I wanted was to feel okay and to feel like everything was going to be okay. And in the depths of my soul, I wanted to feel peaceful and feel grounded and feel whole and healed on every level. I wanted to not care about what my body looked like or how fat I was or wasn't or what the scale said. I wanted to not care about any of that. I just wanted to feel free and peaceful and happy. But I was really depressed. It was really dark. I was deeply unhappy, and I wouldn't say that I hated myself, but I definitely did not like myself. I definitely did not wake up each day feeling good about myself. I was being extremely hard on myself and really just kind of trudging through. Then one day, I realized that I had 2 college credits that I wasn't using. My parents were paying for them, and I was taking all of my required courses for my degree and my major and minors that I had. But I had these 2 credits that I could use if I wanted to for like elective classes. So I decided to take a look and see what was available. And I saw that there was a hatha yoga class available to take. And I had always been curious about yoga. I had always wanted to try it because I was so drawn to the holistic approach of yoga. The talk therapy I was doing was really helpful and it really had gotten me somewhere. But I just had this feeling like a more holistic modality would help me so much more and would be something I would love to try. So I signed up for hatha yoga using my 2 credits. And from that very first class, at some point in the class, my eyes were closed and I just felt myself there. I was just present. I was in my body and there were no judgments. There were no worries. There was no obsessive thinking. There was no fear. I was just feeling my body, feeling my breath, feeling supreme presence. And I remember resting so deeply in the relaxation and the shavasana at the end of the class. And I knew that this practice had to become a regular part of my life. And that's what happened. I continued taking my hatha yoga classes 2 times a week for the next 3 years of college. And I stayed committed. And the one challenge that I faced with it was that I know I would have benefited from doing yoga every single day, but I didn't have the tools to do it at home by myself, and I didn't have practices to follow at home, to be guided. And when I tried doing some yoga at home, I just would get in my head and get kind of pulled into my worries and fears, and I couldn't really do it. So that was the one challenge I faced with it along the way. But it really changed my life because I felt whole as I, would practice yoga. I felt whole and I felt comfortable in my body in a way that I don't know that I ever had. And I felt present and I felt grounded and peaceful and free. So that is where it all began. Yoga helped me so much through those dark times. And my boyfriend and I went our separate ways, but he went on to be okay. He's healthy and well. But that is where yoga began for me. And it's something that has become such a part of who I am and a part of my life. It's actually a way of life now. And I've gathered up lots of other related tools along the way that I've integrated and that have completely changed the way that I am with myself and the way that I am with the world. So I can't wait to keep sharing with you. I've gathered up so many other tools along with yoga over the years that have helped me continue healing and enlivening and living the life that I truly want to live, with all of its messiness and the fumbles and falling down and rising up again. I want to share it all with you. So thank you for being here. You matter so much. Thank you.